Look around you. Every human world you know, nations, corporations, religions, families, armies, is built on invisible lines, invisible shapes, invisible structures that most people never see. They think power is random, chaotic, improvised. They imagine freedom is natural, equality inevitable, and hierarchies fragile. But this is the great illusion. The truth is far more brutal. Hierarchies are not accidents of history. They are the geometry of power itself. And geometry does not bend to wishful thinking. Geometry wins, always. People like to dream of circles, of communities where all are equal, all voices heard, all power shared. They build utopias on paper, write manifestos of equality, chant slogans of solidarity. And yet, every single time, those circles collapse. Why? Because someone begins to dominate the conversation. Someone claims authority. Someone rises, and others fall. The circle quietly reshapes itself into a pyramid. From the commune to the corporation, from the family dinner table to the empire, hierarchy emerges like gravity. You can deny it, resist it, hate it, but it returns, always. This is the dark geometry of power. Pyramids, not circles. Layers, not lines. Commands flow downward. Obedience flows upward. And in the shadows, manipulation flows sideways. No matter how loudly the masses scream equality, the geometry reasserts itself. Why? Because human beings are not equal in ambition, in intelligence, in ruthlessness, in cunning. And when differences collide, the strong shape the weak. Do not mistake me. Hierarchies are not always fair, not always just, not even always efficient. But they are stable. That is their secret. A circle has no center. It dissolves under pressure. A pyramid has a point, a tip that directs force, focus, clarity. Pressure strengthens it. That is why hierarchies last when revolutions collapse. That is why empires endure when communes disintegrate. That is why, no matter how many slogans are painted on walls, the shape of power does not change. Consider history. Every attempt at abolishing hierarchy has ended by recreating it in another form. The French Revolution guillotined kings, then crowned emperors. The Russian Revolution murdered czars, then elevated party generals. The communes of the 1960s dissolved into charismatic cult leaders. Even in the digital utopias of today, open source projects, decentralized movements, online forums, you find moderators, influencers, gatekeepers. The circle dreams of freedom. The pyramid eats it alive. Why is this geometry so persistent? Because it maps not only society but the human psyche itself. Inside you is a hierarchy. Your instincts fight for dominance. Your desires obey or rebel. Your reason tries to command your passions. Even your body is hierarchical. Organs specialized, systems ordered, a brain ruling over limbs. To destroy hierarchy outside would be to destroy the very structure of life inside. It cannot be done. The herd dreams of flatness, but nature is steep. The geometry is ruthless. At the top, the few who rule. Below, layers of managers, enforcers, clerks, soldiers. At the bottom, the masses who obey. It doesn't matter if the top is called king, CEO, general secretary, or influencer. The titles change, the shape does not. And here is the most brutal part. Most people do not even want equality. They want a stronger shepherd. They prefer to obey. Equality terrifies them because it demands responsibility. Hierarchy comforts them because it assigns roles. The geometry persists because the herd craves it. And yet they lie to themselves. They chant freedom while they kneel. They dream of equality while they vote for masters. They speak of solidarity while they envy their neighbors. Hierarchy is not only imposed, it is desired. This is why democracy itself hides pyramids inside it. Voters think they are sovereign, but their sovereignty is only the base that props up new elites. the pyramid re-emerges disguised as representation, and the masses applaud their own obedience. This is why every ideology fails when it denies the geometry. Anarchism collapses into gangs. Communism hardens into oligarchy. Libertarianism fragments into chaos until new lords arise. Even religions that preach humility end up worshipping hierarchies of priests, saints, gods. Because geometry is not a choice, it is a law. And laws cannot be abolished by slogans. So what does it mean to think geometrically about power? It means abandoning illusions. Stop pretending equality is permanent. Stop believing freedom is natural. Stop imagining that hierarchies are fragile. They are eternal. To think geometrically is to see the hidden lines. Who stands at the top? Who serves beneath? Who pulls strings from the side? To think geometrically is to map every pyramid you inhabit and decide where you want to stand. Most of you will stay at the bottom. That is the destiny of the herd. But you listening now are different. You would not be here if you did not sense the truth. If you want to rise, you must abandon the moral fairy tales of circles and embrace the geometry of pyramids. Ask yourself, how do I move up a layer? Whom must I serve? Whom must I deceive? Whom must I crush? These are not immoral questions. They are the only honest ones. You may hate this truth. You may wish it were otherwise. But hatred does not dissolve geometry. Only clarity gives you power. So learn to read the lines. Trace the angles. Study the layers. Once you see the pyramid, you cannot unsee it. And once you accept it, you can begin to climb. Comment below. Do you believe hierarchy can ever truly be abolished? Or is it the destiny of every society to rebuild the pyramid? Subscribe if you want to keep mapping the dark geometry of power. Share this with someone who still dreams of circles, and let them feel the weight of the pyramid crashing down on their illusions. Because geometry is merciless and hierarchies always win. If Block 1 revealed the inevitability of hierarchy, Block 2 dissects its machinery. Hierarchies are not sustained by chance. They are engineered, sculpted, and maintained through systems that make the pyramid seem not only inevitable, but natural, sacred, even beautiful. Predators at the top understand that raw power is not enough. To last, their control must be hidden in rituals, symbols, and bureaucracies so familiar that the herd stops questioning them. The first mechanism is ritual. Rituals transform domination into devotion. Think of national anthems, morning pledges, graduation ceremonies, corporate awards. These rituals create the illusion of belonging, of unity, of shared destiny, while in truth, they reinforce the geometry. The many kneel, the few are exalted. A graduation is not just a ceremony, it is a ritual that marks you as ready to take your assigned rung on the pyramid. A national anthem is not just a song. It is the herd's chant of loyalty to rulers they will never meet. Ritual seduces the masses into repeating their own subjugation. The second mechanism is symbol. Hierarchies thrive on symbols that are simple, visible, and emotionally loaded. A crown, a flag, a corporate logo, a religious icon. They all condense complex systems of authority into objects you can see and worship. The symbol is the shortcut. You don't need to understand the system. You only need to bow to the image. The power of a symbol is that it bypasses reason. You salute the flag without asking who owns the land. You wear the brand without questioning who profits. Symbols are spells that freeze the geometry of power into the minds of the herd. The third mechanism is bureaucracy. Raw violence is crude and temporary. Paperwork is eternal. Bureaucracy transforms domination into process, making hierarchy seem neutral, inevitable, faceless. You obey the form, the signature, the stamp, not the man. But behind the form is always the man. Bureaucracy hides rulers inside routines, convincing the herd they are obeying rules instead of people. And because bureaucracy is boring, most do not resist it. Yet boredom is the camouflage of domination. Bureaucracy is geometry made invisible. The fourth mechanism is punishment and reward. The pyramid sustains itself by disciplining the herd with calibrated doses of fear and hope. Promotions, awards, bonuses, titles. These are rewards dangled to encourage compliance. Fines, firings, humiliation, prison. These are punishments to terrify dissent. Together, they keep the herd oscillating between craving and trembling, too distracted to question the structure itself. The brilliance of this mechanism is its impersonality. It feels as if the system, not a ruler, is punishing or rewarding you. The predator disappears behind the mask of procedure, while you police yourself. The fifth mechanism is myth. Every enduring hierarchy invents a story that justifies itself. Monarchies tell you rulers are chosen by God. Democracies tell you rulers are chosen by you. Corporations tell you leaders earn their place through merit. Myths make pyramids look righteous, inevitable, moral. Even revolutions invent myths. The people, the proletariat, the free market. These are just new names for the same shape. The herd lives for myths because myths give suffering a reason. Without them, obedience would collapse into despair. With them, obedience feels noble. The sixth mechanism is invisibility. The greatest pyramids are the ones the herd doesn't even notice. In the digital world, hierarchies of data and algorithms control what you see, buy, and believe. You think you are free because you scroll, but the pyramid decides what reaches your eyes. Invisible hierarchies are the most powerful because you cannot rebel against what you cannot name. How do you protest an algorithm? How do you overthrow a faceless bureaucracy? Invisibility makes hierarchy eternal. The seventh mechanism is sacrifice. Hierarchies survive because they can burn the expendable to protect the essential. Scandals, failures, crises, they are absorbed by offering someone at the middle or bottom as a victim. The herd is appeased by seeing justice done, but the pyramid remains untouched. A CEO resigns, but the corporation lives. A minister is fired, but the state endures. Sacrifice convinces the masses that the system corrects itself, when in truth, it protects itself. The eighth mechanism is exclusion. Hierarchies survive by teaching people that they cannot survive outside them. Rebels are not only punished, they are exiled, cut off, erased. To leave the pyramid is to become invisible, powerless, ridiculed. This exclusion terrifies the herd into compliance. Better to be a pawn inside the pyramid than nothing outside it. Hierarchies win because they create deserts around themselves, making obedience the only oasis. But the most brilliant mechanism of all is this: consent. Hierarchies survive not just because the few dominate the many, but because the many consent to their own domination. They line up for rituals, they cheer at symbols, they obey forms, they chase rewards, they believe myths. They teach their children to obey before the child even understands the shape of the pyramid. Consent is the foundation stone of the geometry, and it is given freely, even joyfully. Ask yourself, how many hierarchies do you consent to daily? Your job, your government, your religion, your culture, your family, all pyramids, all reinforced by rituals and myths you never questioned. And when you do question them, you feel guilt, shame, fear. That is not an accident. That is design. The pyramid is inside your mind as much as outside your world. The elites understand this. They know that maintaining geometry is not just about violence or law, it is about imagination. The herd must be unable to imagine life outside the pyramid. That is why revolutions collapse. They destroy the old structure, but they cannot destroy the imagination of hierarchy. And so a new pyramid grows. Always. This is the dark genius of power. Hierarchies do not just control your body, they colonize your mind. They teach you to love the chains because the chains feel like order, stability, safety. They whisper that freedom is chaos, that equality is naive. that without the pyramid, life itself collapses. And so the herd clings to the pyramid as if it were salvation, when it is really the geometry of their submission. Comment below. Do you see rituals, symbols, or myths in your own life that reinforce the pyramid? Subscribe if you want to keep unmasking the hidden mechanisms that make hierarchies seem natural. Share this with someone who still believes bureaucracy is neutral, and watch them squirm when you tell them paperwork is just domination in disguise. Because rituals end, myths crumble, symbols fade, but the geometry remains, and hierarchies always win. The pyramid is everywhere. You can curse it, resist it, dream of circles and communes, but it remains. Why? Because hierarchy is not simply imposed from above. It grows from within. The truth is savage. Human beings crave order more than they crave freedom. They crave direction more than equality. They crave a peak to climb, a crown to worship, a master to obey. The pyramid does not enslave them. They build it themselves. And yet, if you see the geometry clearly, if you strip away myths and symbols, you face a choice most never dare to face: to remain at the bottom or to climb. The herd does not choose. It drifts. It follows rituals, habits, customs, until it finds itself cemented into the base of someone else's pyramid. But predators choose. They see the angles. They map the lines. They calculate the climb. So how do you climb? The first principle is position. You cannot rise if you do not know where you stand. Every pyramid has its layers: rulers, managers, enforcers, servants. Where are you? Who is above you, and who is below you? The predator maps this structure with precision. He knows which rung he occupies and which rung he must reach next. Without this clarity, ambition is just flailing in the dark. The second principle is patronage. No one climbs alone. To ascend, you must attach yourself to a higher node, serve their ambition, prove your utility. Hierarchies reward loyalty, but only when it is useful. You must make yourself indispensable to someone above. Carry information they need. Execute tasks they cannot. Solve problems others fear. This is not slavery. It is strategy. You are not submitting. You are buying your ticket upward. The third principle is replacement. To climb, someone must fall. The pyramid has limited space at each layer. You must identify whose place you want and weaken them quietly. Expose their flaws, magnify their mistakes, drain their allies. Do not strike openly. The herd will rally to protect the wounded. Instead, make their collapse look like fate, not sabotage. When the moment comes, you step into the gap. The herd calls it destiny. You know it is design. The fourth principle is illusion. The predator cannot climb as a naked predator. He must wear masks. He must appear loyal, humble, moral, even harmless, until the right moment. Hierarchies do not reward open ruthlessness. They reward those who look harmless while plotting. Think of the courtier who flatters the king, the employee who smiles at the boss, the politician who praises the people. They ascend not because they are loved, but because they are underestimated. The best climber is the one no one sees climbing until he is already above. The fifth principle is fear. Sooner or later, climbing demands cruelty. To keep your rung, you must make others fear displacing you. But fear must be precise. Too much, and you inspire conspiracies. Too little, and you invite challenge. Calibrate it. Punish one rival brutally to discourage others, but cloak it in legitimacy. Let the herd think the punishment was deserved. That way your cruelty looks like justice, your calculation like fairness. The sixth principle is control of narrative. The pyramid is not only physical, it is imaginary. People obey because they believe. To climb, you must shape belief. Control what others say about you. Spread stories of your competence, your loyalty, your inevitability. Feed rumors that your rivals are weak, untrustworthy, dangerous. If people believe you belong higher, they will unconsciously prepare the space for you. The geometry shifts when the story shifts. The seventh principle is adaptation. The pyramid is eternal, but its costumes change. Monarchs give way to parliaments, CEOs to influencers, priests to scientists. The herd thinks the system has transformed, but the shape remains the same. If you cling to outdated costumes, you collapse with them. The predator adapts, wearing new titles, new ideologies, new rituals, but always serving the same climb. He does not fall in love with a crown or a flag. He loves only the geometry. Now consider what happens when you reach the peak. The herd imagines the summit as freedom, but the peak is lonelier, colder, more dangerous than the base. At the top, everyone wants your place. Every ally is a rival in disguise. Every smile is a potential dagger. The predator who arrives unprepared dies quickly. To rule from the peak, you must invert your climb. Instead of eliminating rivals above, you must prevent rivals below from rising. That means controlling succession, neutralizing threats, and feeding the herd enough myths to keep them docile. This is the paradox of the pyramid. Climbing requires deception, but ruling requires stability. The predator must transform from climber into architect. If he remains only a climber, he will spend his reign paranoid, chasing shadows, destroying allies until he collapses. If he becomes an architect, he builds structures that protect him, loyal institutions, loyal myths, loyal rituals. He ensures the pyramid itself defends him. So why do hierarchies always win? Because they are more than systems. They are survival machines. They channel chaos into order, fear into obedience, ambition into service. They outlast revolutions, ideologies, generations. Even when toppled, they rebuild themselves like a law of nature. They win because they are not merely imposed. They are desired, imagined, worshipped. The final truth is this: freedom may inspire, equality may enchant, but hierarchy endures. If you accept this, you have two options. You can remain at the base, dreaming of circles that will never exist. Or you can climb, mask yourself, deceive, punish, adapt, and claim the peak. That is the Machiavellian choice: obedience or domination, prey or predator, base or summit. There is no middle ground. So I ask you, are you willing to see the geometry clearly? Are you ready to abandon the illusions of circles and embrace the eternal pyramid? Comment your answer below. Subscribe if you want to keep learning the forbidden architecture of power. Share this with someone who still dreams of equality, and watch their dream crack when you show them the lines of the pyramid carved into their life. Because geometry is merciless, circles break, pyramids remain, and hierarchies always win.